The Ku family had always had a thin bloodline, 18 generations of single-heir lineage. My father adopted 3 girls and made it clear that whoever bore his grandchild would inherit the entire family fortune. Everyone said the child born from one of the 3 candidates my father had chosen for me would be the true heir, yet not one of them had ever looked me in the eye. I had loved Chloe for years, only to be met with nothing but her countless looks of contempt. I thought she was just naturally cold, treating all men the same, until I saw her leaning into the driver's son Alex, swearing with heartfelt sincerity. I agreed to marry her only to repay the Ku family's kindness in raising me. Once I give birth to the Ku heir, I'll get a divorce and marry you. As long as Luis doesn't hurt you, I'm willing to give him a few million to enjoy life abroad. You're the only real husband in my heart. The day before the board meeting, my father asked me who I would choose. I thought of the way the 3 girls always avoided my gaze, and smiled as I replied, I'm the Ku family heir. Of course, my marriage should maximize benefit. Let's go with Laura from City A. My father frowned. Laura was paralyzed in a car accident 5 years ago. She's not only disabled but also infertile. Are you sure? Chapter 1. I spoke gently but firmly. In our social class, true love doesn't exist, since it's all about interest. Of course I should choose the Mu family, the one with the most to offer. My father's expression darkened. That's true, but out of the 3 I picked for you, you're not fond of any of them. My father had deeply loved my mother, but she died of a sudden brain hemorrhage the year I was born. He never recovered enough to remarry, knowing I was never passionate about love either. He feared the Ku bloodline would end with me. Following the advice of an old friend, he adopted 3 orphan girls with no family background. He even had a will drawn up early on. No matter which of the 3 I chose, she would be entitled to run the company alongside me, helping suppress the other board members. I looked at him and said, though Laura Mu is paralyzed and infertile, she can still have children via egg retrieval and IVF. She's the only heir of the Mu family. Rather than relying on orphans to help the Ku family, wouldn't it be wiser to choose a powerful ally? My father nodded. If they couldn't win your heart, there's no reason for them to stay in the Ku family. If I'd simply said it was because Chloe didn't love me and I didn't want to force her, my father would have had Chloe kneel in front of me, questioning what right an adopted girl had to refuse. I didn't want my father to weaponize years of kindness to coerce Chloe. I didn't want to force her into marrying me, and I certainly didn't want to become a resentful couple with her. What's more, after hearing what Chloe said, my heart had gone completely cold. Letting go peacefully was already the greatest kindness I could offer. As I left the office, my father cast a sidelong glance at Chloe. After politely seeing my father off, Chloe turned to me, frowning. What did you snitch about this time? Her eyes were full of disgust and impatience, as if I'd committed some unforgivable sin. Before I could respond, Zoe sneered. Isn't it just about what we said? That we're not chasing after him like some pathetic simps? Monica followed with visible contempt. Seriously, young Master Ku, this isn't the damn feudal era. You think having a bit of money makes you some emperor with everyone orbiting around you? The 3 of them united like comrades, using sharp words to stab at me. I was genuinely confused. None of you want to marry me. Why didn't any of you ever tell my father? Though my father had hoped I'd develop feelings and eventually marry one of them, he never intended to force it. If any of them had said a single no, he would have immediately set aside money to send them abroad to live freely. In the end, they simply couldn't let go of the Ku family fortune. Monica, the most hot-tempered of the 3, clicked her tongue impatiently. Oh, please. You make it sound so simple. You know damn well we're living under someone else's roof. We're just Ku family's pets. What right do we have to refuse? Chloe looked at me with a complicated expression. If you want to choose me, then go ahead. I just hope you won't make things hard for the other 2 in the future. Monica and Zoe were visibly moved by her words. Watching Chloe's self-sacrificing expression, I felt a bitter chill in my chest. Before I could say anything, Alex suddenly appeared. The moment he saw me, he acted as if he'd been startled, instinctively hiding behind Chloe. Chapter 2. He was a grown man, and yet he needed a woman to protect him. Chloe instinctively stepped in front of Alex. He didn't do anything wrong. Just let him go today. Okay. I looked at them, confused, only to realize that the 3 women who were supposed to be on my side were all standing in front of Alex, as if afraid I'd bully him. They saw themselves as strong, independent women and didn't like my confident, outspoken personality. Instead, they favored Alex, who was inferior to me in every aspect. 5 years ago, when Alex first arrived at the Ku residence, he gave me a watch. I returned the favor with a suit worth 100,000 yuan as a welcoming gift, but the moment I put on the watch, Chloe snatched it from me. She snapped. Even your mother's heirloom, you want to take that from him too? I looked at Alex, puzzled, hoping he would explain that he had given it to me willingly. But Alex suddenly dropped to his knees with a pitiful look. Young Master didn't take it from me. I gave it to him myself. Young Master has been very kind to me. He even gave me a whole suit. I truly don't feel wronged. He kowtowed toward me again and again. The scene made the three women emotional. Reminded of their own precarious positions in the Koo household, they started questioning me indignantly. So what if you're the eldest young master of the Koo family? That doesn't give you the right to force someone to hand over their mother's keepsake, does it? The watch might not be expensive, but its meaning is worth more than a 10,000 yuan suit. You should return it to Alex right now. You're always so overbearing, doing whatever makes you happy with no regard for others. My face darkened immediately, but I thought it might be a misunderstanding, one I could clear up later. Suppressing my anger, I handed the watch back to Alex, but he failed to take it properly. The watch crashed to the ground and broke. He stared at me wide-eyed and shouted, "Since young master would rather destroy it than give it back, why pretend?" Chloe had always hated seeing the poor get bullied. She immediately threatened coldly, "Apologize to Alex now, or I'll call off the engagement." At the time, I had already confessed to Chloe and told her I'd marry no one but her. She used that as leverage, forcing me to bow my head to Alex. Back then, I was still young and didn't dare risk losing the woman I loved, so I apologized through red eyes, without defending myself. But that apology lasted for 5 whole years. Ever since then, whenever Alex saw me, he acted like a mouse seeing a cat, either suddenly dropping to his knees or bursting into tears. But I hadn't done anything. I looked coldly at Chloe. "If you're so scared I'll bully Alex, why don't you tie him to your belt and keep him there all day?" My words were obviously sarcastic, yet Chloe furrowed her brows and said, "Are you threatening me? What are you planning to do to Alex?" Monica clapped her hands and pointed at me. "Don't tell me you're just mad we gave Star Ocean Abyss to Alex and now you're using that as an excuse to bully him." Zoe looked at me with icy eyes. "You already have everything. Alex has never even had a proper birthday party. It's just a Star Ocean Abyss. Do you really need to make a fuss over it?" My gaze turned sharp. Star Ocean Abyss. Star Ocean Abyss was an underground aquarium that had been under construction since the day I was born. On its southeast side was a rare piece of imperial jade. Under the shimmer of the seawater, it refracted a galaxy-like brilliance. It was set to be completed 6 months ago, and my father had entrusted Chloe with the final stage, intending for her to present Star Ocean Abyss to me at my birthday banquet a month later. But now, the gift that rightfully belonged to me had been given to Alex. I turned my gaze to Chloe. She was in charge of the project. Without her approval, no one would have been able to access the still unopened aquarium. Under my stare, Chloe grew visibly uneasy and turned away, annoyed. Alex grew up in the countryside, too busy working to ever really see the stars. I just wanted to fulfill a small wish of his. Besides, the aquarium still legally belongs to you, doesn't it? Stop being unreasonable. Fine, at your birthday banquet next month, I'll publicly announce our engagement. Will that make you happy? Seeing Chloe act like she was doing me a favor, I almost wondered if I were the one who had been adopted. But no one else in the room found anything wrong. Instead, they all felt sorry for Chloe. Why sacrifice so much for him? Luis is arrogant, domineering, and cruel. You'd be better off becoming a nun than marrying him. He's probably so happy right now he can't even think straight. Finally got what he's always wanted. Chloe, please don't ruin your life for me. If it helps, I'll kneel and kowtow to young Master Koo. Be his servant. Do anything. My throat felt dry. I managed to say just one sentence. I will not marry you. Chapter 3. Chloe raised her brows in surprise, clearly suspicious. Monica and Zoe exchanged nervous glances, as if afraid I'd say I wanted to marry one of them. Being rejected like this by the 3 women who grew up with me, I feared that if I didn't leave soon, I might end up doing something I'd regret. I turned to walk away, only to have Alex yank my wrist. His eyes were red, and once again, he dropped to his knees with a humiliated expression. Please don't make things difficult for Chloe. All 3 of them were adopted by the Koo family. They've always been lower in status. If you're angry that they gave me Star Ocean Abyss and plan to complain to Uncle Koo, I'm willing to apologize with my forehead. He began slamming his head on the floor. Bang, 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 until his forehead turned red and started to bleed. Chloe, heart aching, hurriedly pulled him up from the ground and turned to glare at me. You say you won't marry me? Then don't choose me. What's the point of using reverse psychology just to bully Alex? Isn't this just your way of getting back at him and forcing him out of the Koo household? I stared at Chloe coldly. I don't know what you're talking about, but rest assured, I will never choose you to be my wife. I thought that would end things, but to my surprise, Chloe grabbed my arm. If not me, then who? Zoe, Monica. Monica wants to study art abroad, and Zoe longs for freedom. Hurting me isn't enough for you. You want to ruin their lives too. Chloe took a deep breath. If you promise not to make things hard for Alex again, I'll marry you. Just stop this already. Okay. Her eyes were filled with exhaustion, like I'd been tormenting her for years. I looked at Chloe deeply and said, everything will go exactly as you wish. She feared I would bully Alex. She didn't want to marry me either. Once I married Laura, all her worries would disappear. During that time, I didn't go see Chloe again. It wasn't until the day of my birthday banquet that she finally showed up, her face cold. Zoe and Monica followed behind her, their expressions also grim. I frowned at my assistant. I'd made it very clear that today's engagement announcement wasn't about them. There was no need to invite them at all. But the assistant frantically shook his head, clearly saying, they came on their own. I had no idea. I sighed, resigned, deciding to pretend I hadn't seen anything. The guests below were even more enthusiastic than I was, greeting the three of them one after another. Miss Chloe, you're truly a rising star. That project you closed last month must have brought in at least $1 million. No wonder young Master Ku only has eyes for you. But it was I who had negotiated that deal. Chloe merely signed the final documents. Monica may be hot-tempered, but she has a strong sense of justice. Young Master Ku would never suffer marrying you. I scoffed silently. Monica had bullied me more than anyone. She saw me as pure evil, probably wishing she could burn me alive. Miss Zoe is also quite the beauty. Young Master Ku couldn't go wrong choosing you either. Please take good care of him in the future. The three of them, at my birthday banquet, acted like hosts basking in the spotlight. I frowned, ready to put an end to the farce, when all three suddenly lowered their heads and took out their phones. Before I could react, Monica's face turned pale. She rushed up to me and slapped me across the face. My head spun from the impact, and I nearly collapsed to the ground. Everyone was stunned by the scene and quickly backed away, afraid to get involved. Chloe clenched her fists tightly and held back Monica, who was still itching to hit me again. Then she turned and looked at me with fury in her eyes. We already came here like items on a shelf for you to pick from. What more do you want? Do you have to push Alex to his death too? I was completely lost. Seeing my confusion, Zoe's disdain deepened. You waited until none of us were around and dared to have Alex kidnapped. I'm telling you now, it won't work. As soon as she said that, I immediately realized Alex had pulled another trick. All the guests present were either my father's friends or our business partners. Yet even after I was slapped in front of them, not one person stepped in. My heart went cold. They must have already decided that the Ku family fortune wouldn't end up in my hands, so they didn't dare offend those three women. Covering my stinging face, I stared at Monica with icy eyes. Apologize. Monica glanced at my reddened eyes with a sneer and said, Alex was nearly beaten half to death, and you're upset over a single slap. I'm fine. Just then, Alex limped into the room, his clothes torn and face bruised, covered in cuts and swelling. One look and anyone would suspect something terrible had happened. Quick as lightning, Chloe took off her coat and draped it over Alex's shoulders. Then she turned to glare at me with disgust. You're as scheming as ever. I'll never marry a man like you. Zoe, who was usually quiet, stepped in front of Alex with a frosty expression. Your family has a weak bloodline. So you brought us back just to be breeders, to have children and carry on the Ku name. We already accepted our fate, but you're still not satisfied. If that's the case, then there's no point pretending things are peaceful anymore. She turned and left without even sparing a glance at the Ku family's dignity. Before walking out, Chloe threw one last haughty line over her shoulder. I'll marry you, but once the child is born, you'll be nothing more than a decorative piece. If you want my child to protect the Ku family's legacy, you better behave. I chuckled. Had they forgotten? Without me, the Ku family would never have adopted them in the first place. Just as the three were about to leave, someone finally tried to stop them, but I shouted, face cold with fury. Let them go. Alex shot me a sidelong glance, full of smug defiance, as if he'd just conquered the world. I stood there in silence, saying nothing, until my assistant rushed over, clearly panicked. What should we do now? All three of them have left. Who will you choose? Other guests began to frown as well. The Ku family's bloodline is thin. Sooner or later, he'll have to marry and have children to carry on the inheritance. If even the three women who know him best won't take him, who else can? I nearly laughed out loud. There are millions of women in the world. Who said I have to marry one of those three? With a smile, I raised my wine glass and toasted the room. Ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, today is not only my birthday, it is also my engagement party. On the giant projector screen appeared the image of a cold but stunningly beautiful face. A collective gasp rippled through the room. Chapter 4. Isn't that Laura Mu from the Mu family in City A? My father had just wrapped up a deal worth over $100 million and stepped in with a beaming smile. That's right. As my son's bride, only the most outstanding woman is worthy of him. As for those three girls, I only adopted them because they were pitiful orphans with no parents. The idea of choosing one of them to marry my son, utter nonsense. Even with my father speaking so plainly, the guests in attendance still wore skeptical expressions. A few older men, longtime friends of my father, tried to persuade him. Laura from City A is undeniably capable, but that accident years ago. Exactly. Everyone knows Laura is now infertile and paralyzed. If your son marries her, she won't even be able to bear children. Who'll inherit the family fortune in the future? Sure, We don't think the children those other 3 might have could definitely shoulder the Koo family legacy, but at least pick someone who can have kids. They called Laura a noble heiress when being polite, but in harsher terms. She was just a disabled woman. Everyone knew her wealth would eventually be handed over to someone else. So why couldn't that someone else be me? From the moment Chloe said what she did, I realized that, even as the Koo family's only heir, no one truly believed the family's fortune would land in my hands. So, I thought, why not choose a woman who was both powerful and incapable of taking the Koo family away from me? Chloe was busy comforting the still shaken Alex when she caught a glimpse of a message on her phone, her expression darkening immediately. Come back now. Luis just announced his fiancée. You'll regret it if you don't. Monica and Zoe received similar texts, sent by mutual friends. Chloe instinctively moved to turn off her phone, wanting to ignore it, but the question nagged her. Why would they say she'd regret it? Could it be Luis chose Monica, or Zoe? Chloe stared at the other 2 for a long while before finally typing out a message. Who did Luis choose? When the reply came with a photo attached, Chloe's pupils shrank in shock. Her face went pale with disbelief. At the same time, Monica and Zoe both gasped. No way. Luis picked that infertile, paralyzed cripple. Impossible. Alex, still leaning on Chloe's shoulder, had a flicker of triumph in his eyes, though he spoke with fake concern. Maybe young master is just angry. You all left his birthday banquet for me. He must have been upset. Why don't you go back? I'll be fine on my own. Tears welled up in his eyes as he spoke. The 3 women immediately softened. Straightforward as ever, Monica declared. It's not like Luis hasn't pulled stunts before. I want to see if he really goes through with marrying that cripple. Just wait, he'll be the one begging us to marry him. Chloe felt a bit more reassured at that. That's right. Luis had chased after her for years, unwavering no matter how many times she rejected him. Missing just one birthday party wouldn't suddenly make him turn around and marry someone who couldn't have children. Alex's eyes stayed fixed on Chloe. Seeing her remain silent, a hint of jealousy flashed across his gaze. He said miserably, I must be the one in young master's way. Even if he had me beaten and crippled, I still shouldn't have barged into his party and ruined it. What if he tells Uncle Koo and cuts off all your living expenses? I don't want to drag you down. The 3 women's expressions darkened at once. What they hated most was being reminded they were living under someone else's roof. Monica said coldly, I've got 2 working hands and feet. Even if I lose the allowance, I'll survive. Chloe gently stroked Alex's hand to reassure him. Don't worry, Luis can't manage such a big empire alone. He can't even produce an heir. Sooner or later, he'll have to beg the 3 of us to come back and help run the company. Don't talk about dragging us down. Luis is the one at fault. If he hadn't had such malicious intentions toward you, today wouldn't have turned into such a disaster for him. They thought I'd simply lost face today, never considering the long-term consequences. Growing restless, Chloe finally picked up her phone and sent me a message. You went too far today. There's no need to throw a tantrum and marry a cripple who can't have children. As long as you apologize to Alex, I'll marry you. In her mind, she pictured the joy on my face when I read the message, but the moment she saw the red exclamation mark, her smile froze. I hadn't just deleted her, I had blocked her. In the second half of the birthday banquet, dozens of helicopters flew overhead, raining down millions worth of pink roses from the sky. Amid the sea of flowers, the elegant and icy-faced Laura was gently wheeled out of a helicopter. She began walking toward me down a red carpet, her eyes brimming with warmth. My father's eyes widened in shock. How is she here? Chapter 5. The other guests were equally confused, though they still viewed Laura as nothing more than a paralyzed and infertile woman. They couldn't deny who she was, the only heiress of the Moo family in City A. A true socialite, the real-deal daughter of a noble house. If it hadn't been for the Moo family's insistence on marrying into a family of equal status, Laura would have already married countless times over the years. After all, the Moo family was old money through and through, prestigious, powerful, and deeply rooted. The Koo family, in comparison, had only risen in the last few decades. Though wealthy, it lacked heritage. Everyone thought that if I married Laura, I'd merely be a figurehead. No one believed the Moo family would truly value this engagement. As the crowd murmured and speculated, Laura smiled and said, "How could the leading lady be absent from her own engagement party? I'm not too late, am I?" She held out a bouquet of air-shipped Bulgarian roses and presented them to me. She stood like that, holding the bouquet until I took it. I didn't leave her hanging. I smiled and accepted the roses. You arrived just in time. The frost that had long been etched between her brows suddenly melted. For the first time, she showed warmth toward everyone. This affectionate gesture shocked the crowd. Before her accident, Laura was known for being a cold beauty. After the accident, she became even more aloof, so much so she didn't hesitate to throw even her own father out of the house. Just as I clasped Laura's right hand, Chloe reappeared at the entrance with a cold expression. Her return caused quite a stir among the guests. Is Chloe having second thoughts? She probably just lost her temper earlier and came back after calming down. Chloe and young Master Ku practically grew up together. If she shows just a little softness, he'll probably call off the Mu engagement in no time. Before I could say a word, Laura's grip on my hand tightened. Her expression remained calm, but there was a storm hidden in her eyes. The moment Chloe met Laura's gaze, she sensed danger. Still, she braced herself and said, "Forgive him, young Master Ku has always been willful. If he said anything that caused a misunderstanding, I hope you won't take it to heart." She reached out toward me, silently signaling me to stop acting out. Laura's face turned instantly cold. "Who are you?" For years, Chloe had often represented the Ku family at public events. As someone active in the business world, there was no way Laura didn't know who Chloe was. Everyone understood, Laura was deliberately putting Chloe in her place. Chloe opened her mouth, ready to declare she was my fiancée. But when her gaze fell on our joined hands, she froze. She remembered, she was merely an adopted daughter of the Ku family, nothing more. Laura's tone turned mocking. "If you're speaking to me as an adopted daughter of the Ku family, I'm afraid you're not qualified." Chloe's face went pale, but she stubbornly turned to me and asked, "Luis, are you really going to throw away your marriage over a fit of anger?" Her fists clenched so tightly her knuckles turned white. After so many years with her, how could I not see she was panicking? But why? Because I was marrying Laura? Or because she was afraid the Ku family fortune would no longer be within reach? I looked at her with a faint smile. "Laura and I are in love." "What anger are you talking about? The engagement has long been set. Are you here to crash the wedding?" I deliberately used the phrase "crash the wedding," and Chloe instantly retorted, "Why would I crash the wedding?" She turned livid, gritting her teeth. "I just can't stand by while you toy with the Mu family's reputation. If you regret this later, the entire Ku family will suffer for it." At that, I couldn't help but laugh aloud. "You don't need to worry about that. After all, your surname is Lee." When all three girls were adopted, Chloe Lee had insisted on keeping her own surname. She didn't want to take ours. My father hadn't forced them, so he simply let them be. Only now did Chloe finally look at my face properly. The eyes that once overflowed with warmth were now full of cold frost, as if I wanted nothing more than to cast her out then and there. Seeing me draw such a firm line, Laura's heart warmed. She tightened her grip on my hand again, as if afraid to lose me. Chloe's throat was dry. After a moment's hesitation, she asked again, "You're really going to marry Laura?" "Chloe, who gave you the right to keep pestering Luis?" My father's authoritative voice rang out behind her. He strode over to stand beside me, his eyes locked sharply onto Chloe. Chloe's back hunched slightly. She no longer had the courage to speak. "I'm sorry." Before my father, she always felt inherently inferior, because she had been adopted, taken in, and given charity. Chapter 6. I looked at Chloe's familiar expression, but unlike before, I no longer tried to comfort her. In the past, I would have patiently reassured her, again and again, that my father only treated her strictly because he valued her, that in the Ku family, she was never lesser than anyone else, that one day, she would control more shares than I would, that her child would inherit everything, but all the fine clothes, luxury, and protection my father and I gave her, still couldn't compare to a single ambiguous comment from Alex. All it took was Alex pitifully saying, "We're both just outsiders here. Chloe, I understand how hard it's been for you." And Chloe would immediately turn resentful toward the Ku family. Her gaze drifted between Laura and me before she finally smiled, lips tight, and said to my father, "I was being inconsiderate. Today is Luis's birthday, and his engagement party. I haven't even had the chance to give my blessing yet." She lifted her glass, looking at me with hopeful eyes. But before I could react, Laura reached out and blocked the toast. "Luis doesn't like to drink. I'll take this one for him." She raised the glass and downed it in one go, a light blush blooming on her beautiful face. Chloe's face went even paler at Laura's casual declaration of ownership. Suddenly, she remembered all the times I had shielded her at the drinking table. Regret, belated and overwhelming, rushed to her heart. Eyes rimmed red. Chloe gave a bitter smile, took 2 steps back, and turned to leave. After the banquet ended, Laura tilted her head and looked at me. "Is my fiancé not taking me home tonight?" I blinked. "What?" Laura stared at me for a long time before speaking again, her tone slightly downcast. "You don't want to take me home. I know I'm just a cripple. It's normal if you find me repulsive." What she said completely clashed with the persona I had heard about. Still, I instinctively tried to comfort her. "No, I don't mind. It's my oversight. You came all the way from City A. I should have arranged your stay." Laura's assistant rolled her eyes and turned away, clearly fed up with her boss's scheming act. Laura tugged at my sleeve, her voice soft and expectant. "You really don't mind that I'm disabled?" My gaze fell on her legs. I nodded. Then my eyes involuntarily drifted upward. "So pale. What are you looking at?" My face flushed instantly, and I quickly looked away. I I didn't mean to. It doesn't bother me either way. We can always do IVF. Laura gently squeezed my hand. But why do IVF? I stammered, not knowing how to answer. Laura sighed. Having a baby is something worth doing personally. My eyes widened as I stared at her in disbelief. Was she saying she could? Laura gripped the armrests of her wheelchair and slowly stood up. Even standing, she only came up to my chest. Cautiously, she stepped into my arms. I just injured my legs in the accident. I've nearly recovered in the past 2 years. I only use the chair because I don't feel like walking. Everything else is just a rumor. I immediately felt a little embarrassed. But I also realized, when she said she didn't feel like walking, that was just an excuse. After all, being labeled as crippled naturally made people let down their guard. The thought sent a chill down my spine. If Laura had designs on the Koo family, wasn't I walking straight into a trap? Her methods, no one could deny how dangerous they were. As cold sweat broke out on my back, Laura tilted her head innocently. You cold? If so, let's go home. I nodded stiffly, my mind racing. Laura smiled sweetly and clasped a crystal bead bracelet around my wrist. When I saw the bracelet, a realization hit me. I asked reflexively, you were the one who saved me back then. At 17, I'd been kidnapped by one of my father's enemies. There had been another girl abducted with me. My legs were broken, I couldn't run. It was she who hid me inside a discarded paint drum. Later, Chloe was the one who found me. And from that moment, I developed a sense of gratitude toward her. That feeling slowly turned into affection. But now that I thought about it, Chloe hadn't saved me. She just happened to open the lid of the drum. The police, my father, and others were all there too. But in my eyes, it had only been her. Laura tapped her fingers, visibly displeased. Yeah, you promised to remember me forever. Then the next month, your whole family vanished from City A. You didn't even leave me a phone number. At the time, my father was terrified I'd be kidnapped again. So he moved us out of the city for good. I lowered my head, guilt washing over me. Laura leaned in again, curling into my chest. Forget it. It wasn't your fault. It's Chloe's. She's just too calculating. I smiled and hummed in agreement, completely unaware that Chloe was hiding in a corner, watching everything. Chapter 7. Her face was pale as ash, her mind consumed by the image of Laura and me embracing. The way we looked into each other's eyes and smiled, it made Chloe so jealous she was about to lose her mind. Even if she never wanted to admit it, Chloe did have feelings for me. She relished my affection but hated being labeled an adopted daughter. So she always looked down on me, rejecting me again and again, crushing my dignity every time. Chloe looked at me bitterly but didn't dare approach. Only when Laura and I held hands and walked upstairs did she finally move. Monica called her in a panic. Where did you go? Alex is missing again. He took a call from Luis and disappeared. Luis must have forced him to leave us. Chloe frowned. He got a call from Luis. She'd been standing here the entire time. She hadn't seen me so much as touch my phone. Monica huffed. Who else could it be? Alex said it himself. Luis called him. Come help us look for him. If we wait any longer, Alex might be in danger again. Chloe responded coldly. Just call the police. For the first time, she didn't rush to find Alex. Instead, her mind began reviewing everything that had happened over the years. A terrifying suspicion began to take shape. In silence, she dialed the police, and then went to check the villa's surveillance footage herself. She reviewed every timestamp where Alex had accused me of bullying him, only to find the complete opposite in every clip. The more she watched, the colder her heart grew. Suddenly, she clenched her fist and punched herself in the face. All these years Alex had lived in the Koo home. All he ever had to do was claim Luis bullied me, and the three of them would force me to apologize, never questioning him once. But now, the truth was right in front of her. He had jumped into the pool himself. He had broken his leg on purpose. He had torn his clothes deliberately. He had thrown himself down the stairs. Lie after lie unraveled right before her eyes. Chloe said nothing. She turned and left the security room. She had lost the courage to face me ever again. The next time I saw Chloe was on the day of my wedding to Laura. Sitting in the car headed to the ceremony, I caught a glimpse of several figures out the window. The three of them were no longer as glamorous as before, but still cold and proud. Alex was clutching Chloe's hand, begging her for something. When she ignored him, he turned to Zoe, but Zoe didn't even look at him. Even Monica, who had once liked him the most, shoved him away in disgust. A flicker of resentment passed through Alex's eyes. He tried playing the pitiful act again, but none of them gave in. I didn't recognize them at first until Chloe stared blankly in my direction. Our eyes met for a moment, and then I knew it was them. I calmly looked away and never glanced back. After the engagement, my father gave the three of them a sum of money, but they voluntarily turned it down, insisting they would repay him for years of raising them. I just laughed. Over the years, the three of them had cost the Koo family tens of millions. Now that they'd left the Koo household, how exactly did they plan to pay that back? When the fireworks show, worth tens of millions, came to an end, Laura took my hand and walked down the red carpet with me. Blessings and congratulations filled the air. Someone handed me an unsigned letter. The handwriting was familiar. Immediately, I knew who had written it. Expressionless, I threw the letter to the ground and let it be trampled. Laura kept smiling at me the whole time. As the ceremony ended, she placed a document in front of me. I willingly transfer all my assets to my husband. No regrets, no reservations. The crowd erupted. Even I stared at her in disbelief. But Laura just smiled gently. Will you marry me? I was so stunned I couldn't speak. In the end, Laura took my hand and signed my name on the papers. She said, I swear, I will never hold anything back from the man I vow to spend my life with. Everyone knew Laura meant every word. After our wedding, Laura committed herself to physical therapy. Within a short time, her legs were fully recovered, indistinguishable from anyone else's. I told her we could wait a few years before having children, but she broke through all my defenses and proved, with action, that we didn't need IVF at all. In 3 years, we had 2 children, 1 boy, 1 girl, breaking the Koo family's 18-generation curse of single-heir succession. My father later told me that Chloe and the other 2 had failed in business overseas, losing a huge sum of money and disappearing. Alex had been hit by a car and lost the use of his legs. With no money for treatment, he moved back to the countryside and became a live-in husband to a fierce wife. Now, he got beaten every day and barely had enough to eat, even while struggling to survive abroad. The 3 of them, Chloe included, still remembered to send me birthday gifts. I could tell they put thought into it, but my expression remained indifferent, completely unmoved. But my expression always remained cold, utterly unmoved. It wasn't until I saw Laura walking toward me with our children in tow that I finally let go of all that emotional garbage. Only then did I smile, because they were my happiness now. I personally witnessed a girl from the art class being raped by a man dressed in bizarre clothing. I stepped in to save her and called the police. But the next day, she turned things around and accused me of raping her. She even accused me of forcing her to give false testimony the day before. Afterward, I was taken away by the police and lost my guaranteed admission to Peking University. My father, who was disabled, wrote a letter in his own blood to prove my innocence, and ended his life in front of the girl's house. Due to insufficient evidence, I was eventually released, but I had already lost my spot at Peking University and missed the college entrance exams. My life was essentially ruined. For half a year, I drifted through life in a daze, until one day I saw that same girl holding hands with the men who had attacked her. Furious, I rushed over and confronted her, demanding to know why she had repaid kindness with betrayal. The attacker pushed me, and I was hit by a speeding car. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the night of the incident. Chapter 1. Don't touch me, or I'll scream. Help! Somebody help me. Is anyone going to save me? I should be dead, so why can I still hear the cries for help from half a year ago? Not far away, in the bushes, a man dressed in bizarre clothes was assaulting a helpless woman. The scene wasn't just familiar, it was exactly the same. I stood frozen on the roadside. A car flashed its hazard lights and honked at me. Snapping out of my daze, I hurried to the other side of the road. In my last life, I saw Tiffany from the art class being assaulted. Overwhelmed by a sense of justice, I rushed over and threw my backpack at the man's head. The man held his head with one hand, pulled up his pants with the other, cursed as he left, and still found time to threaten me. Vincent from class 1. Right, I'll remember you. You just wait. It turned out to be the campus bully, Thomas. I didn't take his words seriously. I took off my shirt to cover Tiffany, comforted her, and encouraged her to call the police. When I got home, I told my dad about my heroic deed. My dad had lost a leg back in the day for standing up for what's right, but he never regretted it. He patted me on the shoulder with pride, saying, "You're truly my son. Good job." But the next day at school, Tiffany brought the police to arrest me. She truly lived up to being a drama student. Her crying was so pitiful. It broke everyone's heart. Yesterday it was Vincent who assaulted me. He also threatened me. He said if I told anyone, my whole family would die. She sobbed while glaring at me with hatred. The worst part is, he tried to play the victim, made me give false testimony, and even wanted my family to publicly give him a banner of honor in front of the entire school. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning, completely stunned. It wasn't until I was taken away by the police that I finally reacted. It wasn't me. I chased that man away and comforted you. How could you repay kindness with betrayal? Her eyes were red as she continued to cry. A girl's innocence is everything. I wouldn't joke about this. Everyone thought she made sense. Chapter 2. I became the universally condemned rapist. 3 people repeating a lie can make others believe it's true, let alone when almost everyone sides with her. The one from the disadvantaged group. Netizens cyberbullied me and my father. They even twisted the story of my father's heroic act, saying he only saved that child back then because he knew the child came from a rich family and wanted to gain something. I lost my guaranteed admission to Peking University and was expelled from school. My father wrote a letter in his own blood and committed suicide in front of Tiffany's house. Public opinion exploded. The police reopened the case and I was released as innocent. But no university would accept me anymore. More importantly, I had lost my only family, my father. I drifted through life in a daze for half a year. Then one day, at the entrance of a residential area, I saw Tiffany walking hand in hand with the men who had assaulted her. Furious, I rushed over and questioned her about why she had repaid kindness with betrayal. She looked indifferent. I'm just a nobody. How could I fight against the heir of the Kim group? If I didn't do what he told me, my whole family would be dead. I had no choice but to frame you, I shouted. You ruined my entire life. Do you know that? Aren't you still alive? What's the big deal about going to Peking University? In the end, you'd still end up working for rich people. But my dad is dead. She showed no guilt at all. Everyone dies eventually. Dying early is reincarnating early. I was so angry I grabbed her by the throat. The campus bully, Thomas Kim, who had been silent until now, grabbed me by the collar. Poor loser. Don't touch my girlfriend. He shoved me hard. I was thrown into the path of a speeding car, which sent me flying onto the curb where I died. Now, hearing the cries for help nearby, I laughed coldly. I won't be foolish this time. Chapter 3. I went to the night market. My dad was busy selling grilled sausages to customers, and I rushed over to help him. My mom died giving birth to me, and my dad never remarried. After his leg was broken, no company would hire him, and he refused to accept help from the person he had saved. Every night, he ran a stall at the night market, selling grilled sausages, supporting me through school. Seeing his thin, busy figure filled me with heartache. Last life, I ruined everything for you. This life, I won't let it happen again. I will turn the situation around, get into the best university, land the best job, and let you live a good, peaceful life. But things didn't go as I hoped. The next day at the school gate, Tiffany grabbed me and slapped me hard. Why did you ignore me last night? I took a deep breath and slapped her back. As a guy, my strength was much greater. She was almost stunned, covering her face. You dare hit me. I'm not some pushover. Do I have to endure it just because you hit me? Why didn't you help me yesterday? I don't know what you're talking about. Classes are about to start. Please stop bothering me. I replied coldly and distantly, clutching my books as I walked inside. She rushed up behind me, snatched my books, and stomped on them, screaming, "Are you working with him? Are you spying on me for him? You're disgusting. Just like him. You both deserve to die." I pushed her away, bent down to pick up my books. I have no idea what you're talking about. Because you ignored me, you ruined my entire life. Don't you realize you were wrong? She vented all her anger on me, like a raging bull, charging at me, pushing me down and clawing at my face. Of course, I wouldn't give her the chance. I fought back with both hands and feet, pushing her away directly. She was furious and lunged at me again. Passing students rushed over to separate us and called the dean. Chapter 4. The dean was tall and dark-skinned, and all the students were afraid of him. He didn't even have to speak, just standing there was enough to silence everyone. In my previous life, when no one believed me, only he comforted my helpless father. His sharp gaze swept over us. What's going on here? The college entrance exam is just a month away, and you're trying to stir up trouble for the whole school. Vincent already got early admission, and you didn't even get that. Only an art college certificate from a third-tier school. So what are you still making a scene for? Tiffany immediately flared up, complaining, "Director, I may be an art student, but I want to study hard too. Vincent got into Peking University, but you can't cover for him just because of that." "What cover-up? I don't cover for anyone." "Both of you, to the office. We'll clear this up." In the office, Tiffany exaggerated and twisted the events of last night. "So you're saying Vincent saw you being assaulted but ignored it. You got upset and confronted him at the school gate, and it escalated into a fight." Tiffany nodded. I replied, "First of all, I didn't hear any cries for help. Even if I had, and even if I knew it was you, helping you would have been my choice, not my obligation. Now you want to morally blackmail me. That's ridiculous." Thinking of what she did in my last life, I added, "What? Couldn't catch the real attacker? So now you're planning to accuse me of being the one who did it." I wanted to block all her escape routes this time. Tiffany's face turned red as she screamed, "You scum! How could you think that of me? And you still call yourself a top student with early admission? You're worse than a dog. No matter how angry you get, I won't admit to something I didn't see or didn't do." She lost it and tried to strangle me. The dean barked, "Enough. If you can't settle this, let's call the police." "What is wrong with you two? Do you think this is the time to be playing games?" Maybe the dean was just saying that casually, but Tiffany instantly turned pale, her hands trembling. "If we call the police, my life will be over." Chapter 5. I looked at her coldly. "Since you don't want to call the police, then keep it to yourself. We're high school students. Time is precious. Don't waste it." The dean nodded. "Exactly. It's your choice. Call the police or settle this in some other way." Tiffany lowered her head, hesitating. She had made such a big scene at the school gate. Many students saw and heard it. News would spread quickly in our small town. A girl facing something like this would be pointed at and gossiped about for the rest of her life. It would be hard for her to find a husband. But more than anything, gossip is the sharpest weapon that destroys people. After thinking for a long time, she finally nodded. Fine, let's call the police. After an investigation, I was classified as nothing more than a passerby, not even a witness, and was immediately released. Tiffany, on the other hand, yelled in the police station. He definitely saw the attacker but chose to ignore it. He must be an accomplice. He can't be allowed to go free. The police officers looked at each other, speechless at the girl's hysteria. Vincent was just passing by. He's not. Tiffany interrupted the officer furiously. Don't think he's a good person just because he got into Peking University. Maybe he's working with the rapist. They probably plan to take turns on me. People like him should be locked up. She was completely unreasonable. The police shook their heads. Stop imagining things. This is the police station. It's a place of fairness and justice. You can't just accuse people without evidence. According to your statements, this has nothing to do with Vincent, unless you have proof. I saw him glance in my direction. He definitely saw everything. The dean tried to speak for me, but I quickly gave him a look. If he spoke up now, Tiffany would definitely think he was covering for me. I looked at her steadily and said firmly, I already told you I didn't see anything. It was dark. How can you say I saw it? Do you have X-ray vision? No, you definitely saw it. You're an accomplice. An accomplice. Chapter 6. The police finally lost patience. All right, that's enough. Vincent can leave. Tiffany, you stay for further investigation. Tiffany refused, sitting on the ground, kicking and flailing her arms like a tantrum-throwing child or a complete shrew. You just think I'm an ordinary girl without connections and easy to bully. He saw me getting assaulted and walked away. That's just wrong. He let me suffer on purpose. Wanted to see me humiliated. People like him deserve to rot in hell. My life is already ruined. Even if it's ruined, I want to drag someone down with me. Vincent can't get away with this. I rubbed my ears, looking at her in exasperation. So just because I walked down that road, I committed a crime. I deserve to die. There were surely others passing by that night. Why don't you go accuse them? Oh, I get it. You're picking on me because I'm poor like you. No one's got my back, so you can frame me however you want. The police frowned and looked at her. Tiffany, you'd better get up and cooperate with the investigation. Otherwise, your behavior might constitute obstructing official duties. That would be serious. Tiffany froze, quickly got up, and awkwardly said, I was just too emotional. I didn't mean to obstruct anything. Let's continue. Continue. I gave her a long, hard look and turned to leave. Things were already different from my previous life. I hoped everything would now stay on the right track. But the next day, just before noon dismissal, Tiffany brought the police into the school. I had just walked out of the classroom building when I saw her coming over, and I froze on the spot. The scene was exactly the same as in my last life. Was she going to put on another show? Sure enough, she blocked my way with the police. Officer, he's Vincent, the one who assaulted me the night before last. Chapter 7. I stood frozen. It had only been a day and a night since yesterday, and she had already turned into this. In the crowd, I saw Thomas, the one who actually assaulted her that night. Not far away, someone had taken out their phone and started recording. The more people gathered, the straighter Tiffany stood, as if claiming she had been assaulted was no longer something shameful, but rather something to flaunt. It was him. He was the one who tried to assault me that night. There were not only students leaving school, but also parents waiting to pick up their children, and curious passers-by craning their necks to catch some gossip. Oh my God, Vincent, the top student in our class, is a rapist. That can't be true. Yeah, he's always been polite to girls. How could this be? Some people look righteous on the surface, but are actually sinister and vile inside. Tiffany is the school belle, and now she was actually by her own classmate. The dean took them both to the police station yesterday. So this was what it was about. I don't believe Vincent would do such a thing. He's a guaranteed Peking University student with a bright future. How could he do something so disgusting? I'm on Vincent's side. Yeah, me too, honestly. Tiffany's private life has always been messy. She's dated countless guys. Who knows who she tried to seduce this time and ended up like this? Everyone was talking, but things were already different from my previous life. Last time, everyone watched me get dragged away by the police, and because I was nervous and scared, I didn't know how to defend myself. Later, Thomas spread all kinds of rumors about me online, and everyone, including my classmates, believed I was the one who assaulted Tiffany. In reality, many people knew Tiffany's private life wasn't exactly spotless. We lived in the same neighborhood, and I often saw her with different boys on the way to and from school. I should thank her for throwing a tantrum at the school gate yesterday. It gave my classmates space to think for themselves. Plus, I was much calmer than in my past life, and I knew how to explain and defend myself. Things were slowly starting to change. I looked at her calmly. Is the police station your personal playground? Yesterday, Your statement was that I was just a passerby. And today, suddenly I became the perpetrator. Chapter 8. It was you who threatened me into saying that. Tiffany lied without a hint of guilt. Turning to the police. Arrest him now. The police moved forward, preparing to handcuff me. Before I could speak, a tall figure stepped between me and the police. I was also at the station yesterday. Tiffany clearly said the attacker was someone else. And now she suddenly changes her statement and wants to cuff a student without any evidence. What if this causes psychological harm to the students or misleads other students and parents? What about the serious trouble it will bring to Vincent? Tiffany's eyes filled with tears. Director, you were biased toward Vincent yesterday, and now you're still biased. If you keep protecting him like this, the real perpetrator will get away with it. The dean snapped. Is this bias? Since yesterday, you've been morally blackmailing Vincent. Now you're suddenly accusing him of threatening you, and claiming he's the attacker. Do you have any evidence? Falsifying testimony is a crime. Woo! Tiffany cried. Looking toward the crowd, the two police officers exchanged looks. We are just doing our job. Teacher, please let us handle this. No one can afford to delay the investigation. We're not stopping you from doing your job. I raised my voice on purpose and scanned the crowd. I am Vincent, a student with guaranteed admission to Peking University. According to Article 236 of our criminal law, those who rape women by means of violence, coercion, or other methods shall be sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison. I gave up my prime years of education, the opportunity to pursue my master's and doctorate, just to rape you. Yes, you're the school belle, but you're not remotely within my aesthetic standards. I have never liked you, and I never will. Tiffany was humiliated, trembling all over, biting her lips fiercely as she stared at me with hatred. The crowd erupted. Chapter 9. Yeah, I remember Tiffany used to like Vincent, but Vincent never paid attention to girls. He put all his focus on studying. He's the top student in our school, always busy with competitions and studies. How could he possibly like an art student like Tiffany, who's terrible at academics? Exactly. Top students never like the type who only know how to doll themselves up. Tiffany started crying, trying to manipulate the crowd. Classmates, don't be fooled by Vincent's good student act. We live in the same neighborhood. He often talked to me on the way home, brought me breakfast, and gave me gifts, but I didn't like him. I rejected him outright. He couldn't handle the rejection and went crazy. That's why he assaulted me. Before the classmates could respond, I raised my voice. You say I liked you, brought you breakfast, and gave you gifts. Where's the evidence? What date? What time? What did I give you? You'd better be specific. Also, everything you're saying now will become court evidence in front of the teachers and the police. Tiffany sniffled, dodging the question. Officer, this person won't admit anything unless you take him away first. I turned to the police. I will cooperate with the investigation, but there's no need for handcuffs, right? Or have you already decided I'm guilty? Not yet. We're just asking you to assist with the investigation. One of the officers replied. I'll go with you, but I'll also post everything about today online. In fact, I had already registered an Instagram account yesterday, where I shared the whole story up to now. It just hadn't gone viral yet. In addition, I found a few pictures of Tiffany holding hands and kissing various boys, being overly intimate. I secretly posted them online using an alternate account. Tonight, I would continue writing posts, letting the netizens learn the truth in advance to prevent a repeat of last time. When everyone ganged up on me, the two police officers were stunned. It's your right to express yourself, but you still have to come with us now. Fine, I'll go with you. Chapter 10. Sitting in the police car, I thought back to my previous life. Back then, I was brought back to the police station in handcuffs, and Tiffany demanded a sky-high compensation of 500,000 yuan. My dad and I barely survived by selling grilled sausages at the night market. Barely enough for my tuition and living expenses. How could we possibly come up with 500,000? That was the last straw that crushed my father. With no education and no idea how to resolve the situation, he wrote a letter in his own blood, begging the school to clear my name. But even after his death, I was released, yet lost my admission to Peking University. No school wanted me anymore. I became a street rat, despised and rejected. This time, it will be different. Tiffany and I were brought into the interrogation room. The two officers left to fetch something. I studied her, making her scalp tingle. Let me guess why you suddenly changed your story. Her face tensed. Stop talking nonsense. Who changed their story? Yesterday I was only scared of your threats. That's why I said you were just a passerby. Really? I smiled faintly, staring at her. Or maybe someone came to see you. After weighing your options, you figured the Kim family's heir could give you everything you wanted. So you decided to frame me, make me the scapegoat. This way, you'd get compensation from my family and also cozy up to the young master. Two birds with one stone. Right. Her face flushed red. She stammered. Stop making things up. I didn't do that. Outside the door, I heard Thomas's voice. That phrase of his, poor loser. Don't touch my girlfriend. I would never forget. Why was he here? It wasn't hard to figure out. From the school gate to here, he really was resourceful. When the police came back inside, my eyes met Thomas's. He grinned smugly. I smiled back calmly. Chapter 11. In my previous life, I was an inexperienced minor surrounded by 2 officers in an interrogation room. I had been so scared, I lost all composure and couldn't think straight. Under their manipulative questioning, I was led into saying many things that were detrimental to me. This time, I had the confidence to defend myself. I wouldn't repeat the same mistake. So when they tried to guide my words, I chose not to answer. Sticking to one thing, I never saw Tiffany that night. The police grew irritated after a long time without getting anything from me. One shouted, "Do you not understand where you are? This is the police station. Keep pretending to be clueless, and when we get evidence, you'll suffer for it." Another officer tried the good cop routine. "Yeah, if you admit it now, compensate her, and settle it privately. You can still go back to school like nothing happened. Isn't that better?" But since the case was already filed after yesterday's report, how could it be settled privately? If I kept insisting I never saw Tiffany, sooner or later they'd have to investigate Thomas. But Thomas was the heir of the Kim family in this city. He would never let himself go to jail. His family wouldn't allow it either. So I would be the scapegoat. I looked at the officers, my expression calm and firm. The time Tiffany claims the assault happened was exactly when I was walking home from school. There's surveillance at school and at the gate of my community. It takes me about 15 minutes to walk home. But if I were to assault her, 15 minutes wouldn't be enough. Right. Besides that, I had 2 trump cards, public opinion online and Peking University. I would fully utilize the internet and go on the offensive, not giving them the chance to slap false charges on me. If things got worse, I would seek help from Peking University. In my last life, I hadn't thought of using online public opinion or reaching out to teachers at Peking University. I had missed my best chance. In the end, under manipulation, I became the universally condemned perpetrator. The 2 police officers exchanged glances. One went out to report and returned saying, "Thank you for your cooperation. You may go." Seeing that I was about to leave, Tiffany lost it, screaming hysterically, "Why are you letting him go? He's the one who assaulted me. He must be punished. Compensation. Jail time. I won't accept anything less." "Tiffany," I looked at her coldly. "Yesterday at the station, you admitted I was just a passerby. Now you're suddenly pointing the finger at me again. Have you thought about how ridiculous and contradictory you look right now? You're acting like someone with issues." I pointed at my head. She stomped her feet and cursed. "I told you. You threatened me. Where's your proof?" She panicked, looking toward Thomas. I also glanced at Thomas. His face didn't look good either, as if he was furious, extremely angry. Chapter 12. I arrived at the school gate and waited quietly for about 10 minutes. When school let out in the afternoon, students began streaming out, and they all froze upon seeing me. I spread my arms wide and shouted, "Vincent is back." The more cheerful and carefree I acted, the more it proved my innocence. Many classmates gathered around me, bombarding me with questions. I smiled and said excitedly, "The police have thoroughly investigated it, and it has nothing to do with me." They even said they were sorry for wasting my entire afternoon. The students erupted into cheers. I skipped dinner, went outside to make calls, and contacted a professor from Peking University, telling them everything that had happened over the past few days. I also went to an internet cafe, where I posted the entire story of being called to the police station today, word for word, online. Many netizens left comments, expressing their sympathy for me, saying it was heartbreaking that I had to deal with this right before the college entrance exam, and encouraging me to stay focused and not get distracted. Some were outraged on my behalf, calling Tiffany a lunatic, but I had underestimated the situation. That very night, I was pushed onto the trending searches. High school boy assaults school belle, uses guaranteed admission to molest female student from another class. This time, unlike my previous life, they deliberately left out the words Peking University in the headlines. They wouldn't drag Peking University into the storm, so naturally, no one from the university would step in to help me. Even if Peking University did want to assist, they wouldn't clear me based solely on one phone call. The situation on the internet spiraled even faster than I had expected. What I had posted online before was nothing but a small ripple, drawing in some sympathetic netizens. But now, with the trending headlines, countless more people saw it. Influencers on Facebook and Instagram reposted the story widely. On top of that, Tiffany posted a video using her real name, accusing me of being the rapist and claiming the school was covering for me, and even Peking University was trying to protect me. As for the real perpetrator, Thomas, he was now portrayed as a hero who had tried to step in and help. Chapter 13. Things were spiraling out of control, but compared to my past life, I was much calmer now. "It's fine. You've learned to be smart and avoided dragging Peking University into the mess. Does that mean I have no options left?" I used the time after evening self-study and after school to contact many classmates with a strong sense of justice. I interviewed them, gathering statements from over 100 students to prove my innocence. Many classmates, upon learning what had happened to me, engaged in fierce online battles with those controlling the narrative. For these passionate classmates, me being falsely labeled as a criminal wasn't just about me, it stained the reputation of the school and every student studying there. This time, I was determined to let the world see who the real victim was. It was almost midnight when I finally returned home, only to see a man claiming to be Mr. Han. Mr. Han was the father of the child my dad had saved back in the day. After hearing about my situation, he had come forward voluntarily to help. My dad, unable to find any other solution and seeing no other way out, reluctantly allowed him to assist. Mr. Han was clearly a man of influence. The car he drove was something my father could never afford. Even if he sold grilled sausages for his entire life, he listened carefully to everything I had to say, had someone record it all, and assured me that he would do everything he could to help me resolve this. The next morning, I received a call from Peking University. They told me someone had informed them of the situation and provided plenty of evidence. If you need legal assistance, please let us know. I expressed my thanks, feeling overjoyed inside. Perfect. With the help of Mr. Han and Peking University, everything was starting to move in the right direction. When I arrived at school, some classmates were still pointing at me and whispering, but I believed only a small number were still affected. During the lunch break, Tiffany suddenly came to find me, saying she wanted to talk. I guessed she was up to some new scheme, so I smiled coldly and said, "You've already dumped a bucket of filth on me. What tricks do you still want to play? If you don't want this to keep escalating beyond your control, you'd better talk to me." Chapter 14. I curled my lips into a smirk and, from the corner of my eye, caught what looked like Thomas's figure in the distance. Without revealing anything, I said calmly, "Fine, let's talk." She led me to a place with no cameras and cut straight to the chase. "Take out your phone. I want to make sure you're not recording or filming." I wasn't recording, but I had just sent a message. I showed her my phone. She smiled smugly, looking down on me. "All right, let's skip the nonsense. As long as you admit to everything and compensate me with 1 million yuan, I'll agree to let you off." And why would I agree to that? Unless you want to keep getting doxxed, and have your dad live in fear with you. I'll tell you straight, if you keep resisting, I'll make sure neither you nor your dad will be able to survive in this place. Forget about going to Peking University. I sneered. Quite the threat. But I've always been curious, why are you so obsessed with framing me? Just because you need a scapegoat, and I happen to be powerless, living with a father who sells sausages, so I deserve to be ruined by you. She burst into laughter, laughing so hard it took her a while to stop. "You're actually asking me that? Do I need a reason to hate you? There must be a reason." She narrowed her eyes, filled with hatred. "Back in freshman year, I confessed to you, and you ignored me, made me the laughingstock of the whole class. Isn't that reason enough?" I thought hard for a moment. "Are you talking about that time after the freshman representative speech, when you blocked my way? I just told you to move because I had a stomachache and needed to use the restroom." Her face twisted in anger. "You've ignored me, the school belle, since the beginning. Do you know how humiliated I was among the classmates? Oh. And there's another reason I want to destroy you. Thomas promised me a lot of money. With that money, I won't have to worry about failing the college entrance exams." Right. Her art school scores barely passed the minimum, but her academic grades were abysmal. If you added all her subjects together, they barely matched my math score alone. Chapter 15. With that money, I can pursue my artistic dreams. I'll sign with the Kim family's entertainment company and become a superstar. I can even marry him and become the Kim group's future daughter-in-law. I couldn't help but laugh. "You think a real powerful family would let their heir marry a woman like you? What do you mean by that? A woman who has poor grades, frames classmates, and has no bottom line. Do you really think the Kim family elders would ever accept someone like you?" Her face froze, then turned furious. "Thomas has already promised me I'll become his girlfriend. After the exams, his company will sign me. My innocence is already gone. So demanding this bit of compensation isn't too much, is it? Why do you think you can win over a rapist's heart? Because you're pretty. In the circles of the wealthy, the one thing they have in abundance is pretty girls. Once he gets bored of you, you'll end up with nothing, and you'll pay the price for framing me. Screw your karma." I never believed in karma. I only believe money can make the devil dance. She crossed her arms, eyes filled with disdain. "Look at you now, aren't you the best proof?" I shook my head. I really couldn't be bothered with her anymore. "Since we can't negotiate, keep dreaming your little daydreams. Goodbye." "Who said you could leave?" She let out a strange laugh, suddenly tore open her white blouse, and shouted toward the distance, "Help! Vincent is trying to assault me again. Help! Someone save me." "Ha! So this is the game you want to play now?" Thomas suddenly jumped out from the distance, rushing toward us, protecting Tiffany, shaking his phone in front of me. "Vincent attempted to assault Tiffany again. Solid evidence. What do you have to say now? So you're both putting on a show together?" "Ha! So what?" He sneered. "Your family has no power, no connections. What can you do?" But my family is different. We, the Kim Group, are a listed company. We're powerful, with vast connections. I could destroy you and no one would dare say a word. Aren't you underestimating the law just a bit too much? Heh, the law. I, Thomas, am the law. I gave a faint smile. You'll pay the price for your arrogance. Screw your price. I'm calling the police now. You won't get away this time. Thomas waved his phone, ready to call. At that moment, the voice of the dean rang out from nearby. What are you all doing here? Chapter 16. The dean and the homeroom teacher both arrived. Before my conversation with Tiffany, I had sent a message to the dean. As expected, he came, and he brought the homeroom teacher along. Thomas and Tiffany exchanged a glance, then said sternly, "Director, just now Vincent tried to assault Tiffany again, but I caught him in time. Don't worry, I already recorded the evidence. This time he won't escape." Tiffany clutched her clothes tightly, playing the part of the wronged victim. Yes, Kim is right. That's exactly what happened. Vincent is so terrifying. He tried to rape me again. I don't want to live anymore. If you don't want to live, you can go die. Tiffany's mouth dropped open in shock. I silently pulled a voice recorder out of the hidden pocket of my pants. I've recorded everything you and Thomas just acted out. I also recorded it. The dean took out his phone, and on the screen was the scene of me and Tiffany. Tiffany glared at us. I knew the dean was biased toward Vincent. This proves it. You two have been working together to trap me, haven't you? The dean said coldly. I am only standing on the side of justice, with both video and audio evidence. It would be difficult for Tiffany to twist the facts now. I immediately called the police. At the same time, Mr. Han had already retrieved the dashcam footage from the scene of the incident. It clearly showed that the attacker was Thomas, and the victim was Tiffany. On the day of the trial, Peking University's legal team defended me, not only clearing me of all charges but also forcing Tiffany and Thomas to publicly apologize and pay compensation for emotional damages. The truth was finally revealed. The two police officers who tried to coerce and mislead me were also severely punished. I was proven to have been just a passerby who never even witnessed Tiffany being assaulted. After being raped by Thomas, Tiffany, under pressure from the Kim family, repeatedly framed me, staged false scenes, and tried to destroy me. Thomas was nicknamed Clown Boy and shot to the top of the trending searches. Netizens furiously condemned Tiffany and Thomas, doxing their family backgrounds and gathering at their homes to curse them, throwing rotten vegetables. Their parents didn't even dare step outside. Tiffany was sentenced to prison for false accusation and extortion. Thomas was also sentenced for rape. Thomas's scandal grew worse, severely affecting the Kim Group. The Kim family's parents publicly announced they were severing ties with their son. But less than 3 months later, the Kim Group was investigated for tax evasion, food poisoning, and several other issues. The Kim Group stock plummeted and the company was completely ruined. Meanwhile, I had already become a student at Peking University. I was deeply grateful for my father's act of bravery back then. Without him, I wouldn't have received Mr. Han's help. Later, I learned that the boy my father had saved was actually the nephew of the dean. Good and evil will always be repaid. I wouldn't let Tiffany's incident scare me from helping others ever again. But from now on, when I helped people, I would make sure to leave evidence, so I could not only save others but also protect myself from false accusations. I believe the world is still a beautiful place,